Here, let's watch.
President Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy have reached a deal to raise the debt limit, and now they are racing to convince lawmakers on both sides of
Best
the aisle
thread,
to back the
honoring the
plan. House is set
military.
to vote on the deal just 2 days from now.
I love honoring the military. I'll look at it in a second.
Mr. President, what do you say to members of your own party who say
This person
you made
blocked
too
me,
many
by the way.
concessions in this deal?
They'll find I didn't.
I think you're going to get a majority of Republicans voting for this bill. This is a good bill for the American public. The president agreed with this bill, so I think there's going to be a lot of Democrats that go vote for it too.
And the House Progressive Caucus already speaking out against new work requirements in the deal for food stamp recipients.
It is really unfortunate that the president opened the door to this. And while at the end of the day, you know, perhaps this will, because of the exemptions, perhaps it will be okay. I can't commit to that. I really don't know.
And the conservative House Freedom Caucus also pushing back against the deal, saying it does not cut enough spending. Some key members tweeted, "No Republican capitulation," and "Hold the line." As for the debt ceiling, the latest warning from Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen estimates that the government could run out of money to pay all of its debts on time, the so-called X date on June 5th, 1 week from today. CNN chief correspondent Manu Raju live for us on Capitol Hill. So Manu, for those of us just waking up on a Monday morning who may not have been following this Saturday and Sunday, break down the deal for us.
Yeah, look, this was a hard-fought negotiation, a negotiation that the White House didn't want to have to begin with. Remember, President Biden, for about 3 months, more than 3 months, just refused to sit down with Kevin McCarthy because he demanded the debt ceiling be increased, $31.4 trillion debt ceiling be increased without any conditions, without any spending cuts, warning that trying to do so would avert a fiscal disaster here. But Kevin McCarthy had a different approach. He demanded spending cuts, a whole slew of conditions. Ultimately, the White House was forced to negotiate and make a range of concessions that is angering both sides of the aisle. Some liberals upset and also some conservatives upset with the deal that McCarthy cut. Now, a little bit about the deal. 2-year suspension of the debt limit essentially would expire in January of 2025. That has caused some concern on the right. They believe that it should have only been 1 year for preventing them from fighting this again next year in an election year. Also would ensure that veterans' medical care is not impacted by the spending cuts that would have happened across the board on domestic programs. There's essentially for defense programs, there's not a cut for defense, but that has caused some concerns among defense hawks who believe that is not, they need to have more money for the Pentagon. So expect some pushback from the right on that. But there's also, it would expand work requirements for food stamp recipients. That has caused a lot of angst on the left. And it has a whole host of other issues, such as cutting IRS funding. That's caused some concern among Democrats, as well as rescinding unspent COVID aid. That actually had some bipartisan support as part of this deal. And one thing to watch that actually could generate some opposition from progressives is that it would actually expedite construction of a pipeline in West Virginia, a big priority for West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, but something that progressives in particular were upset about. Now, what the White House has been trying to tell Democrats, what they did last night and all the 2 briefings with the House and Senate Democrats, was they could have been a lot worse. One of the things that did not make it in this bill was to impose new work requirements for recipients of the Medicaid health insurance program. Of course, that's a low-income health care program. Republicans had pushed for new.
Bro, oh my God. Increasing the no eligibility limit for any kind of welfare programs from 50 to 54 instead of 55, which is what they were planning on doing, is so psychotic. Okay? Is so incredibly fucked up. Like, it's in a just world. First of all, if this was France, motherfuckers would be up in arms. Okay? It's also like not even beneficial. Like, it makes no sense. You just decided, like, hey man, if you're in between the ages of 50 to 54, fuck you. That's all you say. If you're a working poor person, if you're a poor person in between the age of 50 to 54, fuck you. We hate you. That's it. That's literally all you're doing at that point. It's so wild.
new work requirements for those recipients. That did not get in the bill. They also argued a whole host of other issues, such as the president's signature Inflation Reduction Act was not cut as Republicans had pushed for, which is what they're trying to convince Democrats. This is the best we can get, even as a lot of folks on the right saying those cuts should have been imposed and McCarthy should have demanded more and should not have given the president as long of a debt limit suspension as it's in this current deal, causing a lot of angst on both wings of the party as they try to get this through Congress.
A lot of angst, a lot of unpredictability. Manu Raju, thank you.
Yep.
We shall see.
Yes, we will. Let's bring in now CNN economics commentator and Washington Post opinion columnist Catherine Rampell and former Democratic congressman from New York, Max Rose, who's also, of course, a veteran of the war in Afghanistan.
Why are we framing this from the right? Because it's fucking CNN. And that's like the entire point of CNN. It's the entire point of mainstream media in general, but especially CNN, which decided that actually we need to be more right wing. We're everyone keeps calling us libtards, and we got to be more right wing. Actually, that's what we're supposed to do. Anyway, let's get to this guy, Mr. Purple Heart over here.
Heart, among other honors. Nice to see you both this morning. I'm going to start with you. When we look at what's happening here, and I think, as Manu laid out for us, we know there's a lot of skepticism. There's a lot of angst on both sides of the aisle here, but we press people a lot and we say, I need a yes or no answer, as you know all too well. And Congresswoman Jayapal actually gave Jake Tapper a one-word answer when he said, does the president basically need to be worried here? And she said, yes, you should be worried about progressives. If the White House messaging is, hey, it could have been worse, is that really enough to convince progressives?
It will be enough for it to pass. It will not be enough to convince progressives. So you have this incredibly fascinating dynamic right now where Kevin McCarthy and Joe Biden and potentially also the leader of the Democratic caucus, Hakeem Jeffries, will all be working in tandem together to pass this legislation, of course, to avoid economic catastrophe, but also because it is in their political best interests. Now, with this bill, the administration has certainly cemented the fact that it is absolutely, resolutely committed to bipartisanship and normalcy.
Oh, shut the fuck. Oh, God, dude. Oh, God. It is so hard for me to not make jokes about, like, suspecting what he got a Purple Heart for here, okay? Like, it might have been head-related trauma, though, that made him bald, of course. I'm not making fun of his disability because baldness is not a disability still. To this day. That's what I was saying. Not anything about his cognitive impairment. Talking about the fucking bipartisanship and celebrating it. Dude, there is no fucking reason, okay? There's no reason to increase the SNAP benefit work requirements from the age of 50 to 54, okay? The bipartisanship came from the fact that it was 54 and not 55, because the Republicans wanted 55, which means, guys, if you're over the age of 50 and you're so fucking poor that you are eligible for food assistance, okay, food stamps, now you have to work at the age of 50 to 54. Okay? Why? What is the reason for that? Explain to me why. It's insane. These are people who have nothing in general. Okay? They're already some of the poorest people in society, and now you're like implementing additional additional hurdles that's going to make it harder for them to receive it. That's the only reason. Like, who out here is going, you know who needs to get the fuck back to work? 54-year-olds. Okay? 54-year-olds who are currently on unemployment and also food stamps. Those are the guys who I'm always like, fuck those guys. They got to fucking, they're so lazy. Like, why did you do that? Yeah, thank you. It's exactly what this is. The U.S. is squeezing a dry sponge, okay? Thank God for civility on that shit. Anyway, student loan relief was not in the deal, for the record. That's why they're not talking about it. Tax hikes, which the Democrats had targeted wealthy Americans for new tax hikes, but there are no new taxes here. No clean energy repeal, no key provisions on clean energy are from the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, are actually in the bill either. The only thing that is really bad is the 50 to 54 work requirements. The reason why maybe the right is like, not the right, but like the reason why the media is looking at this as like a kind of a dub is because like nothing truly horrible occurred in this process, specifically related to the debt thing, other than what I'm mentioning. Aren't they restarting loan payments? Yeah, but that is fucking bullshit. However, that is not related to this deal, this negotiation. The IRS was supposed to get $80 billion, okay, in funds, and the only thing that the Republicans were able to claw back on the IRS was the only thing that they were able to claw back on the IRS part. I think it was like 1.9 billion or something. Where is it? Yeah, a win for Democrats was securing $80 billion for a decade to help with the Internal Revenue Service, to enforce tax code in last year's Inflation Reduction Act. And I think they were able to take down 1.9 billion, I thought, but maybe, no, new number is 20 billion. They took 20 billion off of the 80 billion over the next decade. So Republicans really gained nothing. They just did this to sue chaos and make the Dems look bad. I mean, they did gain some. They did gain some. They looked obstructionist, which is huge. That's like a big deal. Not a real 20 billion though. It's 20 billion in like 2029. So noise. Yeah, it's mostly like aesthetic wins that they got. But it doesn't even matter because this conversation shouldn't be had. Okay? And now they have the opportunity to utilize this exact same conversation again in 2 years. So understand that, like, they literally, this is not, like, we just gave them something for no reason. Now, you might look at this and have liberals go, oh, wow, we should really celebrate this. Like, the libs left unscathed in this regard or whatever the fuck, right? But it's like, it should not happen. Like, what do you mean? It never happens when Democrats are not in charge. You know what I mean? Why the fuck is it happening when Republicans are not in charge and the Democrats are in charge? Why? So this was not a win at all. Any loss is still a loss. And you kick the can down 2 years. That's it. Holy fuck. Here's the debt ceiling aspect of the student loan, or here's the student loan aspect of the debt ceiling. Okay? This is a House bill that passed 3 days ago that blocked it. There's one House bill that passed with 2 Democratic votes, actually, that is supposed to not only fucking restart student loan debt repayment, but they also want the student debt forgiveness to go away, and they want to literally end the payment pause, and they also want to make students pay literally prior loans that were forgiven, which is fucking psychotic. Will it pass in the Senate? No, I don't think so. I mean, but also I don't know. But regardless, despite some hopes that the pause on student loan payments may be extended again if the Supreme Court strikes down debt forgiveness, the Biden admin has said the pause will end this summer. Okay? House Republicans aren't the first to call for an end of the payment pause. In March, SoFi Bank filed a lawsuit trying to compel the federal government to resume collecting payments immediately, calling the most recent extension on the pause unlawful on multiple grounds. Thank you, SoFi. That's so sick. In that regard, it's not the cruelty that's the point. They make money. They literally do debt refinancing. That's their job. That's how they make money. And they're like, oh, we can't make money if you don't fucking enforce these loans, you fucking assholes. Oy. The pause is gone within 60 days of this being signed, McCarthy said on Fox News through the legislation. As with the existing plans to sunset the pause, this is something that the Biden administration has been saying they were going to do anyway. And Kevin McCarthy is basically claiming that this is a win for them, like as a part of the negotiations, which Biden may as well have said it is for them. They are going to do that. Here's what Biden shouldn't do. This, okay? No, keep extending it. It's well within your power to do so. Just keep doing it. And then that's what Republicans would do. Just don't renege on the fucking deal. Just don't follow through on things you said that you were going to do. No one is forcing you at gunpoint to do this. Okay? You don't have to do it. You can keep extending it. Just lie and extend it. Who cares? Be like, yeah, sucks to suck, idiot. Why don't you write legislation that forces to do it? Oh, wait, you did that in the House. Why don't we leave this up to Congress? He could easily say that. He could turn around and say, at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break, but all you need to do is subscribe if you don't want to see it, Jack. Okay? All you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free with the Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account where you get 1 free Prime subscription a month. Cut the malarkey. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky. That's another way to cut the malarkey at the top of the hour. Donkey Hawk, thank you for the 5. Get the subs, allowing 5 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. Woo! Right at fucking 4. Right at 4 p.m. Goddamn. I don't think he should say that. 9 out of 10. Polar Bear 420, thank you for the 5 get the subs. Tamana, thank you for the 10 give the subs, allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. Here is the 3-minute ad break now. My favorite chatter is the one that always goes whenever I mention what time it is here in California. My favorite chatter is the guy that goes, it's actually 7, dog. Damn, man, thank you. Like, thank you for telling me what time it is wherever you are. You know what I mean? Sick. 1453, best day of my life. Thank you for the 5 get the subs. The pause is gone within 60 days of this being signed, McCarthy said on Fox News due to the legislation. Are student loans still deferred? Yes. Student payments and interest have been on pause since the onset of the pandemic. A moratorium first adopted and extended under former President Donald Trump and extended again under Brandon. But that won't be the case for long. The Brandon administration, whose mass student debt forgiveness plan is currently being held up in the Supreme Court, has faced mounting pressure to lift the moratorium. No. Here's what you can do. Just say no. Don't fucking leave this up to the debt negotiations as though it's like in writing. Just don't do it. Just be like, oh, sorry, Jack. I'm a little clumsy and old. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Just saying, that would be pretty cool if you did that. Anonymous gifter, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. A bill that passed out of the House last Wednesday would end the payments as well as Biden's broader plan to relieve up to $20,000 in student loan debt. So here's what you can't say as Brandon. Kevin McCarthy, you already did your job. You're the fucking speaker, okay? You already passed the bill that would force me to do this. Except that bill's got to pass through Senate, and it's got no chance in passing through the Senate. Obviously, I mean, fucking, I don't even want to say that as a matter of fact, because Democrats are such fucking pathetic, cowardly little bitches that they might actually end up passing that bill through Senate because they're scumbags who literally deserve the worst kind of prison, like just super prison. Like, I would send all the Democrats to super prison because who knows, they might actually immediately pass that fucking bill and be like, sorry, it's about, you know, this is deeply unpopular and undesirable, but we decided to fucking pass it anyway because we're cowardly pieces of shit. But let's say in the perfect world, the Brandon is saying, yeah, guess what, dude? McCarthy, you already did your job. You passed through the House. Hey, if it passes through the Senate, we'll think about it. Except they're probably not going to say that. Okay? Brandon should be like, it'd be irresponsible if I go against my promise to the American students. They voted me into office for a reason. I made a promise to the American people that I was going to take away their student loans. Okay? I was going to do student loan debt relief. Why would I go back on my promise that I made to the American people so that I can make you happy? Who the fuck are you? You're some adulterer from Bakersfield. No one from Bakersfield should actually ever be in a position of prominence, okay? Go back to making meth. Shut the fuck up. Go back to having sexual intercourse with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I do not give a fuck about my obligations to you, a man from Bakersfield. I care about my obligations to the American people. That's what they voted me into office for. Okay? That's it. Just say that. Say that. What? I have a legit question, Hassan. If Biden used executive authority to forgive student loans, how does SCOTUS even have standing to rule on executive orders? I thought the point of an executive order was that Congress and the judicial branch have no recourse to counteract it. Can't Biden force the loan forgiveness to be executed even waiting for SCOTUS to rule on it? Yes. Yes, they can. But I don't know if the Supreme Court could actually override his executive authority. But the real problem is that it's up to Biden, which is a puppet of the Democratic establishment. So the Democratic establishment, which gets a lot of money, especially like Nancy Pelosi and whatnot, which get a lot of money from student loan debt refinancers and banks like SoFi, for example, and all these fucking gremlin vultures that make money off of your demise, your financial demise that is built into the fucking system itself, are yelling at the Democratic seats that they paid for. They're yelling at the Democrats that they paid into their campaign funds. So now, Brandon is faced with a tough choice. That's the problem. Yes, the quicker you find out that the Democratic establishment doesn't actually want to relieve student loan debt relief, is the quicker you realize this is why they do things like this. But hey, guess what? This is a very unproblematic way that Brandon can act like he still cares about civility while maintaining the position that he actually did everything he could to protect student loans or student loan debt relief, which was a campaign promise. He doesn't. He doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about students. He doesn't care about adults that are saddled with so much unimaginable debt that they don't need to pay. Okay? Cares more about SoFi. Bullshit. Plus, like you always point out, if he just did it, they would have a really hard time clawing it back once the cat's out of the bag and people already have the money. Yup. Anytime the government does things that are good, the government creates a very scary reality. It's a reality in which the American people think, wow, wait a minute, maybe the government isn't the worst thing. That is ideologically antithetical to what these hyper-capitalist corporations want out of the government. The only thing that the government should do is at gunpoint take money from you in the form of taxes and then turn it into subsidies for those very same corporations that will never give you any of that back, that will work you to the fucking bone and will never actually improve your conditions. That's what the government's good for. The government's good there to deregulate. historical fame that a president will get if safe gun laws and or student debt is passed is beyond anything we could imagine, not the senators. Yeah, but fame is nothing when your job is to be a monkey in a suit that does the bidding of corporations and the wealthy. That's what the American president's there to do. Doesn't matter if they're a Republican, doesn't matter if they're a Democrat. Their job is to literally make it seem like there's this facade, there's this theater, there's this back and forth where they don't have any agreements. Oh man, we're certainly disagreeing. We're doing the best we can, folks. Sorry about that. Meanwhile, their main job is to just do precisely not that. Their job is to basically push for whatever measure helps the bottom line of corporations. To be honest, I don't get why you haven't moved out of the USA yet, like to Finland or something. This place is kind of going to shit. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. I still like America for what it can be, okay? And I'm not a fucking quitter. I'm not going to turn around and be like, all right, well, this shit sucks. I'm leaving. And, you know, all power to those who do. But I came here. I came here under the false promise that, like, this was the land of dreams, you know? I did. I believed in that when I came here. I was 100% sucked into the propaganda. This was like where freedom rang, you know? But ultimately, America being the leader of the planet, being the largest superpower, being the global hegemonic superpower, still has a lot of promise. Where would you even go besides Japan? I mean, there are plenty of European countries that I could live in that are great quality of life. You know? I do love Japan, though. Bro, you're rich and famous. I think you're living many people's dreams. Okay. That much is true. But the idea that this American dream is manageable for all is fucking bullshit. That part is a lie. That statement in and of itself is a silly one because, like, you want me to be like a Paul Ryan type. You know what I mean? You want me to be like, I made it. Why can't you, fucking loser? And that's what's wild about this entire process is that, like, yeah, while I live a life that is my dream, that is the dream of many others, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, my actual dream is not just that I get to hold on to this. It's so that others can have a comfortable existence as well. That's my dream. Okay? It's not about just like me having it. It's about everyone else also having a better existence, a comfortable existence. And the irony is, a guy who says that is seen as a fucking liar. A guy who says that is not only seen as a liar, but also bad and evil and wrong, okay? Whereas if I was in this condition and I said, I made it on my own, like fucking, you know, it wasn't luck, it was hard work, baby, Sigma grind set, and you guys are fucking losers for not being able to achieve it, but like you can too, just work hard, lol. The systems are not wrong. That's just like failure speaking inside of you. If I were to say that instead, hella people would turn around and go, that guy's fucking right. He's so right. Yeah. It's crazy. Anyway. In a statement, a White House official said Biden protected the student loan debt relief plan in its entirety, including of that for mass forgiveness and for improvements to income-driven repayment options. The administration announced back in November that the current student loan payment pause would end this summer. There you go. Like I told you, the student loan debt relief in and of itself is not a part of these negotiations. Biden might have told him that, but the real scary and sad reality is that the student loan payment pause was slated to end this summer regardless. Biden himself wanted to end it. Now, of course, he doesn't have to. I'm just saying, he does not have to do that. You can just keep it going. Keep extending it, baby. Just fucking do it. Just keep extending it. Shh. Shh. Nobody needs to know. Nobody needs to know. Just be like, oh yeah, we'll do that. Shh. Just keep doing it. What are they going to do? You're the fucking guy. You're the guy that can do it. You can do it. The CDC ended the coronavirus emergency declaration, so I don't think he legally can. No, he legally can do that. He can order the fucking the education secretary to just keep extending it. Literally, he can. I know it sounds like overly simplistic, but that is the case. He can absolutely, it is absolutely within the legal purview of the executive office to just say, yeah, we don't have to collect these debts. It's fine. We'll just keep pushing it. No, it's fine. It's fine. We'll take it down the line. We'll push it. We'll just push it a little bit. That's actually quite literally how he could, how he is able to forgive $20,000 in student loan debt relief. It's in the legislation that authorized student debt that he can modify, cancel, etc. He can forgive it all. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So anyone that tells you it's not legal is bullshit, is fucking wrong. He could. If Biden lets them restart student loan debt repayment, I'm fucked financially. Yep. Plenty others like you, Celtic von Strons. What is the downside to forgiving student debt? What? No downside at all. I guess like student loan refinancing companies will suffer, but fuck them. Like actually, they can suck my dick. So there's that. That's a downside, I guess. But that's it. There's nothing else. Literally nothing else. The opposing view, on the other hand, if you are asking me to steelman it, I'm going to say some gross shit. If you want me to steelman the argument about student loan debt relief not coming for you, I have to say some disgusting shit that I do not believe in. But the steelman position of that is that it's a moral hazard. These people took on loans. Plenty of other people took on loans. Plenty of people take on loans, and the financial responsibility needs to be instilled upon the American workforce. There is, if we fucking take away student loan debt relief, what's next? What other loans are we going to relieve? Car payments. Oh my God. Mortgages. Is that what we're going to do next? That's ridiculous. A lot of rich people go to college, and you're basically giving, you're giving a what is functionally like a tax cut almost to some of the wealthiest people who already are in college and already have gotten a college education, which means that they are already going to be better off than all of our big, beautiful men and women who don't have the privilege to go to college. Also, you're not solving the actual problem of college education being unaffordable, unimaginably affordable, as a matter of fact. And these colleges are relying on the student loans to keep, raising their prices. That's what they say all the time, which we did with PPP loans, for the record. But no one ever cares about that. I don't agree comparing it to cancer medicine like you did last time. Wait, what? No, it is exactly, yeah. That my argument to all of those idiotic positions is no one who has actually withstood cancer treatment is gonna fucking turn around and be like, no. Sorry, I had to suffer through chemotherapy. How dare you get a fucking vaccine that ensures you don't get cancer ever again? No, you should actually have to go through that cancer. It's actually really good. It's a valuable life lesson, and you might actually die. Yeah, that's my counter to it. All other debts are dischargeable in bankruptcy, which is a basic protection in the Constitution that wasn't ended until 2005 when Biden changed the law as a senator. Oh, that's the other part too. I'm ultra left wing, but debt cancellation should not happen until the cost of college is reined in. Oh, okay, never mind, dude. No, me too. I'm ultra left wing, and I don't think we should have healthcare until we solve a lot of these, until we solve the obesity problem in America. That's what you sound like, dude, man, bro. It sounds silly. It sounds stupid as fuck. What do you mean? You just literally did what reactionaries do. You used another problem that you're not, you might be genuinely interested in solving that problem, but conservatives put that forward. You sound like a boomer. Me? You do, but that's not important. Wait, I sound like a boomer. Why? Because I think that you dumbass Zoomer student loans should be relieved. Is that why? I guess I am. Not me, but people say you don't choose to get cancer, you choose to go to college. Okay, first of all, everyone should be able to go to college, okay? And secondly, if you're fucking psychotic, you could say you choose to get cancer by, changing your diet. You could avoid getting cancer by changing your fucking diet. Okay? The fuck do you mean? Education is like the single most important component for upward social mobility. Okay? And it should be free. The idea that like college is just this like luxury good is so fucking stupid. And anyone that tries to fucking tell you that it's not is a ridiculous baboon-brained idiot. Okay? So if someone tells you you don't choose to get cancer, but you get cancer, but you choose to go to college, ask them why they're choosing to go to college to begin with. It's such a stupid argument. I'm just saying, you guys could literally fucking not argue with these idiots in your lives. You know what I mean? This is such a hard argument to win because millions of people in this country are just blindly begging to get fucked by the system. Yeah, I know, but like, I mean, you can't go off of their whims. You know what I mean? You can't like tailor your argument. You can only tailor your argument to cater to the expectations of dudes who are like literally begging to get fucked by the system so much. Okay? That's it. You can't just like, you can't use stupidity as a counter to progress like this, especially in moments where like a government has the power to do certain things. Debt limit deal includes changes to SNAP that eliminate work requirements for veterans and homeless people regardless of age, while increasing the age threshold for work requirements from 49 to 54 for adults without children, per source familiar. The changes would phase out in 2030. For TANF, the GOP's work requirements for cash assistance recipients has been included but modified to ensure states can continue to support those families and their children. No changes to Medicaid. So, like, people will look to this and say, oh, this is a win for Biden. It's not a win for Biden because this didn't even need to happen. Okay? That's it. Like, oh, we just got... You have a gun, and this dude said, I'm going to punch you in the face. You said, I have a gun. I could just shoot you in the face. Don't come near me. But instead, you just didn't say that at all. And the guy still came and punched you in the face. But you found out that he's not as strong as you previously thought he was. You still got punched in the face. There's no reason to be punched in the face in that regard. Okay? You just stood there and you ate it. Not positive. Anyway. What should you have done? Man, if only there was like a lot of videos that I did on the subject, even talk to like subject matter experts, as a matter of fact. That's a great question, Chatter. Here it is.
It sounds.
You can have a conversation. You can listen to the conversation I had with David Dayen in my latest YouTube video. Well, not the latest one, but Republicans are holding America hostage. We went through some of the avenues where we could have prevented all of this from happening, including using the majority that we had in the Senate and the House, including utilizing the 14th Amendment, things of that nature, even after it was too late. David said the debt ceiling negotiations was like a gun on the table that you let the other side grab and hold to your head. Yeah. I'm not watching that whole thing, little bro. Okay, well then don't watch it. Then motherfuckers be like, I don't want to learn, actually. You fucking idiot. You stupid idiot. I'm here to just ask questions. Oh, you fool. You thought I wanted to learn? What are you, fucking stupid? No, I'm just here to talk shit.
And in the process, I actually think that they have boxed the Republican Party into this really awful corner, whereby now the Republican Party has to advocate for increased spending, of course, because the debt ceiling will be raised by trillions of dollars, and for increased social service spending, now with an expansion of SNAP benefits for veterans as well as the
I gotta
homeless.
pee again, goddammit.
On the other hand, the Republican Party can say, the Democratic Party did not get any of their priorities in there. And that, yes, is true as well. So it might be the sign of a great negotiation that nobody is happy right now, but this will certainly pass. It will pass because of moderates on both sides of the aisle, and they will largely do that because they do not want to be the reason for economic calamity.
Catherine, let me bring you into the conversation because there's been a lot of drama, there's been a lot of noise, and you say in a recent op-ed that there's already been some harm done, even if we don't actually default.
Yes. Look, I look at this deal and say, how is it any different than what we would have reasonably expected to get from the usual annual appropriations process? It's really not that different, given divided government. Republicans didn't get the draconian cuts that they asked for. They didn't get the Medicaid work requirements. They didn't get some of the other things that I was worried about, including basically undermining the entire regulatory state. They basically got flat spending, which again is what I would have expected coming out of the appropriations process. So the question is, fine, but what was it all for, right? We've gone through all of this drama. We've gone through economic turmoil, basically embarrassing ourselves on the world stage, Biden having to cut his Asia trip short, the G7 kind of being overshadowed by all of this, not to mention probably higher borrowing costs as a result of some market stresses. And we ended up where we would have been had this whole brinksmanship episode never happened. So on the one hand, I'm glad that we, knock on wood, don't look like we're about to have a financial apocalypse and that Republicans didn't get all these other things in. But what was the point? We could have avoided all of this.
Catherine, you and I have talked about, in passing actually here at CNN, how you feel about IRS reform. And I'm curious what you think about the concessions it looks like the IRS reform will receive as part of this bill. I mean, do you think it would be significant?
Well, they're cutting about a quarter of the funding that was appropriated to the IRS last year, which I think is actually quite a bad thing. That money has a huge return on investment, both because it means better customer services and taxpayers are happier and they're more voluntarily compliant, and it means that the IRS has the resources to go after wealthy tax cheats and corporations. So I don't think this was a good place to cut money. In fact, it will expand deficits. That said, they did some kind of accounting gimmicks where it doesn't look like it's materially going to affect the IRS's overhaul in the near term. It'll probably be more of a problem several years from now. But again, it's not making it easier for rich people to cheat on their taxes doesn't seem like the thing you would do if you really cared about getting deficits under control.
It's sort of interesting, though, that will undoubtedly be put forth as a win for Republicans. They got some of that money back. How does this play to your point of, look, if everybody's unhappy, then I guess this is a good negotiation, right? Because nobody comes out the winner here. But how do you sell that to constituents?
Well, there's a few major hurdles here just in terms of selling it to legislators. First of all,
Yes.
Kevin McCarthy has to get over half of his own caucus to support this before it even gets to the floor, and they have not confirmed that they will do this. And that whipping process, as it's known behind the scenes, is not fact-based.
I love this guy literally being like, nobody's happy, and that's a sign of good negotiations. Like, who the fuck is writing for just the sake of negotiations? Like, what are you? A negotiation? Are you Mr. Negotiation? I don't understand. Why are you why are you writing for like gridlock? Well, at least spirited debate happened. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Do you not have interests, needs, demands? You know what I mean? Like, it blows my fucking mind. This guy's just like, sorry, I'm Mr. Negotiation. Negotiation pervert here. Love to see a good negotiation. When both sides are angry, when they leave the table, well, that's all the better. Love that. Love me a good argument. It's such a weird stance to take. What the fuck?
This, at this point, will be deeply personal. The speaker wants this. The leader wants this. The president wants this. Get in line, or else there's going to be consequences down the road. That you can't take the politics out of politics.
How good is McCarthy at doing that? Because typically Republicans have done a very good job of getting their caucus to fall in line. We are seeing something a little bit different here, which certainly we saw play out when he was trying to get that gavel.
Sure. So he will be fine at getting, I believe, more than 50%, because you've already seen leaders in the moderate wing of that party. I wouldn't call them moderate. Let's just say less extreme wing of that party expressing their support for this. With that being said, though, the Democratic Party, I think that in that whipping process that we're seeing right now, what people will be upset by, yes, is the policy, but they're going to be more upset. Legislators will be more upset about two other things. One, did we get anything out of this at our own priorities? Core Democratic priorities. They got victories. What did we get? But secondly, I think that there will be certain angst around giving Kevin McCarthy a win. So they're going to want to see the Republicans show momentum around this, show that they can pass this themselves or come somewhat close to it before Democrats start raising their hands and saying that that they'll go about doing this.
His head looks like when they put bald caps on people with a lot of hair and movie makeup. Yeah, the top of his dome is too big. Like, it's weirding me out.
Of course, last to conclude, there's going to be folks that want to turn this into a Christmas tree as well. I certainly wouldn't rule out some people thinking about amendments. How can I get my little appropriation?
We've got good news. We've got just spoke with Speaker McCarthy, and we've reached a bipartisan budget agreement.
God, this shit sucks so bad. This is why I didn't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? Because ultimately it could have all been fucking avoided. There was no reason to have this happen to begin with. And Republicans got way less than they wanted, but it's still fucking stupid. That it should not have happened. You know what I mean? Baldest bald slander is getting me. I'm sorry.
Agreement that we're ready to move to the full Congress. And I think it's a really important step forward, and it takes the threat of catastrophic default off the table, protects our hard-earned and historic economic recovery, and the agreement also represents a compromise.
Oh my God, that's the other part about this. This is so fucking insane. These psychos literally took the gun at the table. To use David's analogy, there's a gun at the table, okay? Democrats are closer to the gun than the Republicans are. You just allowed the Republicans to fucking take the gun off the table, put it to your fucking head, okay? And then literally claw back parts of the prior bill that you had passed. That bill that you self-compromised on before it even touched any Republican votes, because it passed through budget reconciliation. Oh, wait, sorry. That was bipartisan. My bad. Not budget reconciliation. Bipartisan. A deal that you did with Republicans, which you still ended up negotiating with yourself on for no fucking reason. It's so cucked.
This means no one got everything they want. But that's the responsibility of governing. And this is a deal that's good news, I believe, you'll see, for the American people. The agreement prevents the worst possible crisis, a default for the first time in our nation's history. An economic recession, retirement accounts devastated, millions of jobs lost. It also protects key priorities and accomplishments and values that congressional Democrats and I have fought long and hard for. Investing in America's agenda that's creating good jobs in communities throughout the country. Protect Social Security, Medicare, and veterans, and so much more. The Speaker and I made it clear from the start that the only way forward was a bipartisan agreement. That agreement now goes to the United States House and to the Senate. I strongly urge both chambers to pass that agreement. Let's keep moving forward on meeting our obligations and building the strongest economy in the history of the world. I'll take a few questions.
President, you said at the beginning that the debt ceiling was not negotiable. Isn't that what you've just done here? And isn't that what
you guys, look, we're not negotiating the debt ceiling. Here's the deal. They passed the debt ceiling, and they said they'd only do it on condition that it have all these cuts in it. I said, I'm not going to do that. You pass the debt ceiling, period. I'll negotiate with you on the cuts, what you say, what's going to happen, what the budget's going to look like. That's what we are negotiating in order to get to them deciding that they're going to go along with a new debt ceiling, meaning that it's not attached. It's something totally different attached than was attached before. So if you want to try to make it look like I made some compromise in the debt ceiling, I didn't. I made a compromise on the budget.
That's what they wanted, is you to make a compromise on the budget, and that's what you've done, even though you haven't gone as far as they wanted. Isn't that right?
Sure, yeah. Well, can you think of an alternative?
Mr. President, what do you say to members of your own party who say you've made too many concessions in this deal?
They'll find I didn't.
Mr. President, on your allies and adversaries to America, would you be willing to say about what you think this process said to those adversaries and allies? You have a deal now, but what does the process say? What does the struggle say to them?
Well, it says we've been through this more than once, and it's just the nature of the way we handle the deficit and handle whether we're going to, each year, going to pay our debts. And it's happened more than once. It will probably happen again, but it's not going to happen at least for another 2 years here. And I don't think beyond that it won't either.
Mr. President,
Big benefit here. We just kicked the can down, 2 years down the line. Fucking sick.
I think it's time for the U.S. to get rid of the debt limit. That this is,
Tell us you're scared of China. I mean, for the record, China's lapping us, man. One big thing people are missing with this flat spending going into next year is the huge macro impact. Monetary policy is tightening dramatically into what is likely to be a very rough recession. And when we need loose fiscal policy the most, Republicans are literally sending us into a depression. We'll see what happens. Because, I don't think this is as... the Republican gains from this is not as significant, even though it should not have happened at all. It has to happen before the 2 years is up. The agreement only sets parameters for the next 2 years of spending. Congress must fill them in by spending a raft of spending bills later this year. Yeah. You know how you fucking stop this can from being kicked down the road? 14th Amendment. Just blow it up. Blow up this conversation so it's never a weapon that they can use ever again. Okay? But of course, you would do that if you were genuinely interested in stopping this kind of back and forth from ever happening again. They're not.
That's the reason you just laid out.
No, I think it would cause more controversy getting rid of the debt limit, although I am exploring the idea that we would, at a later date, a year or two from now, decide whether or not the 14th Amendment...
8th Amendment gives me the right. You'll find that the 12th Amendment gives me the goddamn right. The God-given right. The 12th Amendment gives me the goddamn right. You'll find that the 15th Commandment of the United States Constitution gives me the right. Where's the American Embassy? I'm an American citizen. I believe in the 56th Amendment. Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for the 15th Amendment, the United States Constitution, given to us by Lord Jesus Christ of the Nazareth. Given to hand it down by Sir Jesus Christ of Jerusalem. As Jesus came down from Mount Olympus to hand us the 15th commandment of the United States Constitution.
Yeah, dude, I can't show you guys this now. Everyone's going to be Lemmy heads instead. Everyone's going to go watch him do political commentary. Fuck, he's coming for my job, bro. Chill, dog. Chill.
Amendment, how that actually would impact on whether or not you need to do the debt limit every year. But that's another day. Thank you.
Mr. President, do you believe Speaker McCarthy has the vote, and did he negotiate in good faith?
I think he negotiated with me in good faith. He kept his word. He said what he would do. He did what he said.
There's like, oh God, I hate this. I hate this so much. He's just like so stupid. Dude, no, he's such a pussy, dude. Of course the Republicans walk all over the Democratic Party. They're such fucking pussies, dude.
Said he'd do, and I have no idea whether he had the votes. I expect he does. I don't think he would have made the agreement.
Mr. President, do you have a comment on the elections in Turkey? Have you spoken with President Erdogan?
I have not spoken with him yet.
Do you have a comment?
Some of your Democratic colleagues are saying that this policy will lead some people to go hungry. What is your response to that?
It's ridiculous assertion.
Do you wish you started these negotiations sooner?
No, it wouldn't make any difference.
Mr. President, is financial aid for Ukraine secured in your new budget?
Okay, there you have President Biden speaking to reporters just a few moments ago. He was saying essentially there that he believes that the House Speaker Kevin McCarthy was negotiating in good faith during this process. At one point,
why is Debbie Wasserman Schultz here? God, I'm so triggered. I don't want to watch